It's a very high-speed track, so it's very important to have a quick car on the streets and on the fast corners.
I think the most important things here is the corners are like a street lane. That's the only problem for us, because we have a very high-speed corners, and it's very difficult to drive for 1.5 hours very, very quick.
Well, here the most important thing here is to have a very good balance in the car. If you have a perfect balance in the car, you can win the race. But if anything goes wrong, so a little bit understeer, oversteer, you wear the tires and nothing can do it. The most important thing is make the car perfect to here, and after that to do a good race.
Well, Silverstone, I think, is one of the best circuits at the moment in Formula One, because he has good fast corners where you can make your car going quicker through. It's very nice. I mean, I like it. About the winner, I think I'm going to win this race.
Well, we'll see, but there are other likely winners today, especially world champion Niki Lauda, second fastest in the warm-up this morning, and Ferrari's Stefan Johansson. And what of the British drivers? James Hunt won in 1977 and John Watson in 1981. So, mathematically, we're due for a national victor, but chances look slim. Derek Warwick's got car problems, and although Nigel Mansell's in an excellent 5th place on the starting grid, it's only 2 weeks since he crashed at over 200 miles an hour in France.
I can remember too much about the accident. For me, I wish I didn't remember anything, but I know medically that that's a bad thing. So, you know, that's why I've been able to be past fit for this weekend, because I can remember, I think, almost down to the last 2 or 3 seconds exactly what happened.
Nigel, we've had 6 different winners already this season. Who can win the championship, and can it be your team?
I would say yes, absolutely. Keki's riding high. He won Detroit, came second in Ricard, and it's got to be a good bet for today. But I hope it's going to be 7 different winners by today, and hopefully that 7th one will be my first.
Derek, it's a long time since we've had a British victory to cheer, and the Silverstone crowd would love to see you win your first Grand Prix here. Is there a chance?
I mean, there's always a chance, you know. I mean, we're not that uncompetitive that we can't, if a few things go right, come through and win. But realistically, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to beat people like Rosberg, Prost, Alboreto. Is going to be almost impossible for us at the moment. But, you know, I'm looking today to really run for the rostrum, and if I can sit on the rostrum this afternoon, I should be very happy.
It's going to be a very fast, very demanding and fuel-hungry British Grand Prix. And there's the reason. The 2.93-mile Silverstone circuit. It's flat. The slowest corner is taken at 125 miles an hour. There is a 200-mile-an-hour approach to the Woodcote chicane. And the Silverstone circuit requires more full-throttle running than any other Grand Prix circuit in the world. Now, the bad news. I have to tell you that a thunderstorm is forecast for 3 o'clock this afternoon, half an hour into the race. If that happens, it's going to make it more than exciting, because there's going to be the problem over coming in to change from slick dry weather tyres to treaded wet weather tyres. Now, this is the 8th of this year's 16 Grand Prix, and it's close at the top of the Drivers' World Championship, with Ferrari's Michele Alboreto just 5 points ahead of a tie for second between Elio De Angelis and Alain Prost. But after 2 superb drives in Detroit and France, Keke Rosberg's up to 4th, followed by Ferrari's new driver, Stefan Johansson, Patrick Tambay, and double world champion Nelson Piquet. In the equally important Constructors' Championship, Ferrari lead the JPS Lotus, Marlboro McLaren and Williams teams ahead of Renault and Brabham, with Keke Rosberg Williams in pole position on the starting grid after qualifying with the fastest ever Grand Prix circuit lap at over 160 miles an hour. Nelson Piquet, Brabham, second. Alain Prost, McLaren, third. Ayrton Senna, Lotus, fourth. Nigel Mansell, Williams, a superb fifth. And Alboreto, Ferrari, sixth. World champion Niki Lauda qualified badly again, only 10th. but ahead of Derek Warwick's Renault in 12th place. Britain's other two drivers are 20th and 24th, Martin Brundle in his Turbo Tyrrell and Jonathan Palmer in the Zaxby. And there is Keke Rosberg, looking calm, cool and collected as ever, talking on the left to Patrick Head and smoking to the disapproval of Frank Williams, his team owner, no doubt. And Patrick Head, the car designer, has, after a lot of application and changes, produced an absolutely magnificent car in the Williams Honda. It's got the Honda turbocharged six-cylinder V6 engine in it, and in race trim it'll be producing over 800 horsepower. And there is no better a driver than Keke Rosberg to handle a car like that. He has the most incredibly quick reflexes. Nelson Piquet back at the top, thanks, those of you who watch the French Grand Prix will have no doubts, to the fact that the Pirelli tyres have finally come good after endless efforts, and Piquet justified his faith in the Italian product in France by winning very, very convincingly indeed, and look where he is now. Second on the grid, fifth fastest in the warm-up this morning, when that was half an hour's running on race tyres with full tanks. And there's Alain Prost. Now this is the danger man. He's third on the grid, but he was fastest by a long way in the warm-up, the half-hour warm-up today. As ever, McLaren, with their V6 turbo tag engines, have devoted themselves to getting the race trim right of the car. Not worrying too much about practice, but getting high enough off the grid to make sure that Prost is in a challenging position when the lights go to green. And that's exactly what's happened. And we saw the results of that today when, as I said, Alain Prost was commandingly fastest in warm-up, and even more significantly, his teammate Niki Lauda, who's only 10th on the grid, was second fastest in the warm-up. There is the reigning and 3 times world champion Niki Lauda, who, to put it mildly, is hungry for success. He's only got 3 points from 1 finish in this year's 7 Grand Prix. He has retired in all the others. Ayrton Senna, one of the very fastest men on the course in Grand Prix racing today, 4th on the grid. He won in Portugal. He's had the most appalling luck ever since then, because he failed to finish in 6 races. In Brazil, where he was 3rd, at San Marino, where he was actually leading, at Monaco, where he was leading, Detroit, Canada, and then Detroit, and France. And so he's down in the World Championship, way below where he should be. Nigel Mansell, now this is marvellous news, because he's in 5th position on the grid after, as I said earlier on, the fastest ever accident in a Grand Prix car in the history of Grand Prix racing at the Paul Ricard circuit, when Mansell went off at over 200 miles an hour, stopped dead in less than 5 seconds, and was very severely concussed. But he's been home to his home atmosphere in Port Erin in the Isle of Man. I was talking to someone who played 2 rounds of golf with him this week and was very conclusively beaten by Nigel, who is a magnificent golfer. So Nigel is in excellent shape, and so is James Hunt.
Yes, certainly. It's a lovely day. This is the first British Grand Prix I can remember for some years where we're not all steaming hot and in the middle of a heat wave. But all is well. A lot of excitement and interest rests around Nelson Piquet, of course, who won the French Grand Prix the last time out, a fortnight ago. And on the Pirelli tyres, they now seem at last to have got a good competitive tyre together. Piquet was 2nd quickest in practice. He was 5th quickest in the warm-up this morning in race trim and on race rubber, and it looks like Nelson Piquet, the twice world champion, is back in form. Alain Prost, of course, was quickest in the warm-up this morning. He's 2nd quickest in practice and is in, 3rd quickest. Prost is 3rd on the grid. And as usual, the McLarens look to be in extremely good form. Lauda was second quickest this morning in the warm-up, just behind Alain Prost. And although he didn't qualify very well, we're going to have to watch for Lauda in the early laps because he's coming from 10th on the grid, and we hope to see a charge. That 1 minute signal has gone. Engines are now being fired up. They're ready to do the parade lap, or the pace lap, when they go around slowly, gently, paced by the pole man, Keke Rosberg, who in fact is in the spare car. He had trouble this morning in the warm-up with his race car. And in just a moment, they've got 30 seconds to go. They'll get a green flag, and Keke will then lead them round for one lap that they'll use to warm up the tyres. They, of course, come back onto the grid, engines still running, and as soon as all the grid has formed up in position, the